Trains, planes, automobiles, new neighborhoods, and marijuana. All the fun stuff coming to the Austin area. Jeremy at the Night Group, your favorite Austin realtor. That's right. I'm going to talk about all the things that are coming to the Austin area over the next couple years. There's a lot of things coming, so we are going to talk about this. One major thing that we've talked about in the last video I did, the sad future for the Austin area, so we talked about transportation, and a lot of what we're going to talk today is about the transportation, because guess what? Austin's growing like crazy. The suburbs are still growing like crazy, and you got to get to work downtown maybe. So let's talk about some of these crazy things that are happening. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about the marijuana, the Mary Jane, the reefer, the chronic, I don't know. I'm not even the right person to be talking about this. Drop a comment below. What do you think is coming for the Austin area? What are you worried about coming to the Austin area? Are you excited about all the changes coming to the Austin area? Let's get started. So first I want to talk about some of the expansion projects that are happening at Austin Bergstrom Airport, ABIA, AUS, whatever you want to call it. So they are now approved and greenlit an additional three terminals to hit the west side of the complex. Now, there's been a lot of growth over there. We're going to talk about something crazy that's happening with the airport. There's some infighting happening right now. Yet this $165 million project is moving forward, and it will start in November. So it's going to add 3 more gates currently, and it's going to add more concessions to the west side of the airport. Now, this growth is definitely needed in the Austin area. If you've ever been to ABIA during ACL Fest or any of the events, it is crazy trying to get in and out. In fact, there's like, what, $400 million that's being poured into the airport currently in this growth in the projects. If you've gone through ABIA or you've flown in and out, I gotta say, I've flown into a lot of airports recently in the last year. I mean, a lot. Austin's still my favorite. I'm glad it's growing, but what do you think? Are you glad or not glad that Austin's growing? So this leads me to something really important that we need to talk about, and that is, with this growth, something was supposed to attach to ABIA, and that was the light rail that voters voted $7.1 billion in funds to go to a light rail that was supposed to go from the airport, supposed to go all the way up north to the new soccer stadium, and was supposed to relieve all the traffic. That's what voters voted for. But guess what's happening? Now that has gone up to a $10 billion price tag. And with that $10 billion price tag, they're having to reduce pretty much the entire project. Let's take a look at this. 5 potential options for the expansion of the light rail in Austin were unveiled March 21st, representing a scaled back Project Connect transit plan compared to what was on the table a couple years ago that people voted for. Now, this was supposed to be a blue line, orange line, and guess what? Because of the costs, the overage costs, which if you were somebody who said, hey, look, this is probably going to be a lot more than $7 billion, and hey, taxpayers are really going to heavily foot the bill, this isn't the best idea for Austin. If you were one of those people, then this kind of makes sense that, look, over the last 2 years, we saw a lot of issues with supply chain. We saw prices of homes and everything go up. Land is a lot more expensive in Austin, obviously, with all the growth that we're talking about. So this project has been scaled back. Now, here's the 5 potential new options that they're talking about. Now, they're also talking about that they're trying to get more money, so it's not all just public funds, but we'll see how that works out. Yet out of all of these 5, only one goes to ABIA, to the airport. So as we're expanding the airport and doing all these additional projects to the airport, part of what was expected with the airport expansion was the fact that this rail line was going to take people from the airport to downtown and then maybe up to the soccer stadium. Some issues they're running into with the line, just to get to this, is that the other lines that we have currently in Austin are a mix of diesel power. This is supposed to be a light rail and just be electric. So what they're having to do is actually create more bus lines. So they're talking about doing just a bus line from Mueller down to the Goodnight Trail area, which I don't understand why we would need that line. You tell me why we would need that bus, but because I don't know. Drop that comment below. The only one that goes to the airport really only takes you to the middle of downtown. So is that a good use of the $7.1 billion or $5 billion that they're talking about? Either way, that is the only one. Now, the rest would go down to Riverside and off Riverside. And talking about Riverside, there's a project that was about to happen on Riverside that we need to talk about. and we'll see what's happening with that. Initially, this was supposed to go from the airport along South Riverside and then take you to downtown. So it's not the same plan. What are your thoughts on the changes of this? So there's one plan that will take you from, the South Riverside area and get you up to the stadium. That is the only one, but that does not connect to the airport. So what are your thoughts on the growth of this? Is it good or bad? Drop a comment below. Here's what's pretty interesting though. Going back to the airport thing. So there's a south terminal at the airport. I don't know if people know about this. I've flown out of JSX with there a couple times. Great little spot to do that. But they were given a 40-year lease with this south terminal and Lone Star. Well, the city came in and tried to do eminent domain and take it over so they could expand the airport. And with that expansion, they offered like $1.9 million for pretty much everybody to vacate. Well, now that's up to $90 million, and there's lawsuits going on basically saying that the city is violating the 5th and the 14th Amendments in here. So pretty interesting stuff, but potentially there could be an additional south terminal built even larger with the airport. Now there's a few small carriers that fly out of there currently. Have you flown out of the south terminal? But this would also benefit, if whatever happens here would also benefit from the rail line going in. So drop a comment there. But here's what's pretty interesting about as far as growth goes. Now we're talking about light rails being electric, and this information just came out that Trim Built Construction is talking about creating more EV charging spots here in the Austin area. So they're talking about how they are ramping up the construction. They want to beat California and they want to beat Florida as far as competition in the EV space. Now, one of the biggest things with Austin getting Tesla and other EVs here is that we've seen like a 66% increase in the need for EV charging here based on what this article is saying. And so that's huge up from before. Now, if you're a Tesla owner like myself, you're seeing a lot more of these Tesla chargers out there. But this company is saying there's still not enough of the other chargers for everyone else, and there's still not enough for EVs. Drop a comment below if you bought an EV and finding it hard to charge your car or way more expensive than you thought because there's just not enough options. But this company is bringing in more of these like charge point chargers. They're pretty excited about that. What do you think? Do we need a lot more charge point chargers? Do we need more rail? Do we need more airlines? I don't know, but that takes us to this right here. This is pretty interesting because there was $450 million mixed use development on the east side on East Riverside. Now keep in mind, the train was supposed to go through that area in the original plans. So this $450 million, the project proposed 3 commercial buildings totaling 1.9 million square feet, including 32,000 square feet of rental space and 2,300 parking stalls. And in addition to that, there was going to be 4 more buildings that were going to be an additional 3,600 square feet of retail and 1,700 parking spots. The big thing is being integrated into mass transit. Well, guess what? With all the turmoil from the train potentially not being there and less connectability from this area to downtown and other places, they're so far pulling the plug on this. Here's what they say. Collin Brothers with landowner Astoria Real Estate told Austin Business Journal that developer Place MKR had backed away from the project. There don't appear to be any imminent plans to transform the 22-acre site. However, the firm appears content and potentially hold on to the property. And he says, we are in no rush. I think the location will only improve with time. So you're seeing that the reduction in this rail line, which was $7.1 billion, is potentially kind of caving in this project. What are your thoughts? Do we need more of these projects on the east side? Would it have been this great 22 acres bought up for $450 million mixed-use development? We've been talking about mixed-use developments a lot. This is why this is important, because we're talking about transportation and all this stuff. Lennar is talking about building another 1,600 unit community south of Austin in San Marcos. Now, this is right next to the regional airport there in San Marcos. They were going to be building homes in the 300 price point range, which, look, we've been talking about a long time, the affordability in the Austin area, and this could potentially help. But this is part of the problem. You have people that are having to go even further. San Marcos is like 45 minutes from Austin. So we would need more trains or something down there to get some of this traffic up if that's what people are doing, is buying in San Marcos to go to Austin. So what do you think about Lennar potentially putting in another complex down in San Marcos? And that brings us to the medical marijuana thing that I was talking about. So medical marijuana in Texas gets a bit bigger with Gold Blend's retail location in Southeast Austin. Now, Gold Blend had actually talked about creating or putting in a complex down in San Marcos to, I guess, grow and develop some of their marijuana. But in Texas right now, there is ability to get medical marijuana, but it's only 1% of the THC. And this article right here kind of talks about this. It's one of the only companies licensed to sell low tetrahydrocannabinol cannabis products in the state. I nailed it. Did I nail it? Did I nail it? Okay. Opened its first retail location in South Austin. Now guess where this location is? It's off South Riverside. There's been a lot of stuff going back and forth as far as medical marijuana. Now this looks like it is going in Southeast Austin. Oh yeah, and in the article right here, it says Goldman revealed plan to build a $25 million cultivation, production, and retail facility in San Marcos, but they haven't really given any information further than that. And it says Texas has a very restrictive medical marijuana program, which allows products to be sold with up to 1% THC by weight. For example, a 10-gram chocolate bar could have 100 milligrams of THC, which is the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. But potential changes to state law and new investments in the budding, I like that, industry could make it more of an economic force. Now, if you're one of those people that's all about bringing more, I guess, marijuana or whatever to Texas and into Austin, drop that comment below. You are making fun of me in the comments, and that's perfectly fine. Drop those comments. What do you think? Are all these things great for Austin? Do we need all this growth? Drop a comment below. We want to hear from you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.